James under lead gen leader. Congratulations, Latanya.
Good work, Tanya.
I'm starting to sense a little strategery in the timing of this. The guests on the call today, there, Mr. Pogue. It's good work on your side. Well, Mr. Clayton didn't get a picture to us, so John Clayton, congratulations, new agency owner for
Very nice.
absolutely. New agency director, Asmina Hayes. That is wonderful, wonderful to see under the Josh Busick organization. All right, announcements. We are now in the final round of the Pura Vida Invitational with 280 agents, 10 from each direct, competing with 6 chances to win. Other announcement is no Connect call this month. Upcoming events tomorrow, right? Tomorrow we have a training webinar hosted by agency directors Ann and Larry Griffin. And then on this coming Monday, sales training call hosted by Eileen Balmer with 4 keys to a successful week. All right. Tool of the week. My lovely wife, Whitney Zay over there. I'm going to let you take this. What are we talking about for the tool of the week?
Yeah, so we're talking about a tool called Tempo, Balance, and Focus. I'm excited to have Jacob Pogue on with us to share a little bit on this tool. He and I were talking the other day, and he was telling me a great story that really applies to this tool. And real quick, I'll give you a brief description, and then I'm going to let him share his story with all of y'all. So we're dealing with competing demands in different circles of influences all the time, and a lot of the time we lack the energy to pull off all of these competing demands. Let's see, babe, where are we at? Do we have the graphic up there? Yeah. So the graphic for this tool represents a golf swing. And the idea is how do you keep your leadership or your ball, your golf ball, so to speak, in the middle of the fairway. So the goal in leadership isn't the ability to hit it 350 yards, right? The goal is to keep the ball in play every day in all of those demanding circles. Whether it's work life, home life, social life, etc. So just like your golf swing, when we look at tempo, that first one, just like your golf swing, if we move too quickly as leaders, then we could get into some trouble, right? And that's tempo. Balance is as simple as keeping those key relationships in sync. So allocating your time appropriately and really getting curious about what is urgent in life. And then focus is, am I keeping the main things with all of the various competing demands? So I love this tool because it goes with our whole Symmetry motto of work-life balance. So this is just tempo, balance, focus, little bit different wording. So I would love to hear, Jacob, how do you keep your leadership in tempo, balance, and focus?
Well, thank you so much, Whit. I was telling you yesterday how truly, just amazing having you and Doug come in here and Meredith and just this whole Thrive initiative, how it's made such an impact for not just myself, my team, the company. I think Brandon, Brian, and Casey are geniuses, right? And they surround themselves with the right people. The strategic hires that we've made in this company. I know I've told you, Doug, just the impact that you have had on Symmetry Financial Group has been just amazing. And then you've got, Joe Dindy, our marketing team, and Spivey and all the amazing staff. But with you came Whitney, and with Brandon came Meredith, and this Thrive initiative has just been awesome.
See where you're getting at. Thrive. Definite upgrade to get them along with us.
Yes, for sure. I think this tool, Whit, is for anyone that has come to the end of their day and said, there's just not enough hours in the day, or has come to the end of their day and they're just mentally exhausted, right? I used to think that the only way to grow was to work harder. 2015, for example, we were talking about this story yesterday. Like, I wanted to get Stacy out of her job. I had just come out of the field the beginning of the year. I called my mentor, Marshall Whalen, and said, look, I want to get Stacy out of her job. So he said, all right, here's what it's going to take. Like, and I already knew, right? So a lot of work. So I started just going at it. I was on the phone from 8 in the morning till sometimes 10, 11 o'clock at night, talking to West Coast people. Eileen Baum, or people on the call, Eileen, Richard Wright, Scott Mank, like, they saw emails from me at 2, 3 in the morning sometimes. So Monday through Thursday was this rapid, just pace, everything. I didn't eat dinner with my wife Monday through Thursday. Friday nights, this was before all the systems that Brandon and Casey put in place. I was doing reports till like 8 o'clock at night. Saturdays, I was doing interviews until, I treated Saturday just like when I was in the field. It was used to be a dial day, so I was using those to do interviews. So now it's Monday through Saturday at 3 p.m. I mean, I'm just grinding. Sunday, I tried to take off, but there was times I would do 2 or 3 interviews on Sunday. So this was my pace. Like, this was my pace for probably 10, 11 months that year. And we grew. We went from $50,000 in production that January to $300,000 the following January. We were the top base shop recruiters that year. We were growing. The problem is my business was growing. Like, my personal relationships weren't. Obviously, my wife and I just kind of blessed to where I came from. I was used 14 years over my relationship. I was bartending, and I only saw her 1.5 days a week. So even the fact that we got to hang out on the weekends, like, that wasn't too bad. Like, our relationship was okay. It's so much better now, after the fact, in hindsight. But I didn't have any relationships with outside, friends and stuff. Those were hurting, So in hindsight, and this was before Thrive, this was before, you guys joined here. So like I said, I thought it was just work. But then, we have kids and things change and you grow. And I start learning about Thrive and positive, keeping my energy where it needs to be. Because I can tell you, we did grow, but I blew a lot of people up that year, because when they would call me and I was overworked and I was exhausted, I wasn't giving them the best version of me. All of these things were out of whack for me: my tempo, my ballast, my focus. But then you contrast that to now, right? Having grown in this system, having grown through Thrive, having implemented some of these tools. And last year, for example, or this year, last year, I got intentional about my schedule, really intentional, to where I started controlling everything that I was doing for the day. I get more done now than I ever have. I'm more productive now than I ever have, and I do it in far less time. Like, and I love my schedule now. I get up at 6:30 every morning, and I focus on, I get in the word, then I get my personal development, make my gratitude list. And that's the only time slot in my schedule that doesn't have an exact end time, because I wait till my baby boys get up in the morning. And from the moment they get up, whether it's 7:30 or 8 in the morning, I hang out with them until 9. Every single morning I get to hang out with them. Like, what better day? How much better am I going to be for my team when my cup is full? When I've spent the first, 2.5 hours of my day just focusing on my mind, making sure I have my gratitude list right, making sure that I'm growing my brain, making sure I'm spending time with my family. So 9 o'clock, that ends. 9 to 10, I'm in the gym. And I'm, once again, listening to a podcast or listening to a conference call. 10 to 4, I put things on my calendar, back to back to back to back. Hey, I'm energized at this point. I've worked out. I've grown myself. I've got all the energy in the world for anybody. I have a little quick lunch with the boys, 15, 20 minutes. I go down, have a little sandwich, and get to see them in the middle of the day, recharge. 4 o'clock, nothing's on my schedule. Now, we're in a grind now. I mean, we've got the pedal to the metal. So I'm actually working until 6 o'clock every day. But from 4 to 6, nothing goes on my calendar. Because inevitably what used to happen is my calendar controlled me. I dealt with things as they came. A manager calls me today, I answer it. It's just as it's coming. Everything was urgent. Everything was urgent. So now that 4 to 6 time is for those calls, for things that aren't on my calendar that come up that are important but not urgent. I take off at 6 and I'm present with my family. See, what used to happen before I had this schedule down was I would get off at 6, 5:36, walk downstairs, but I'm finishing up a text. So the first thing my family sees is the fact that my phone's more important than them, right? So I'm so energized. I'm so excited. And here's the deal. We're still the top recruiting agency this year. still have the #1 base shop recruiting, yet I do it in far less time. I'm happier. My family's way more happier. And I believe it's because of this tool in Thrive that I figured out a way to check my tempo, my balance, and my focus. And I believe it does take working harder in this business, but it's the finding ways to recharge, focusing on the right things when they're important. Like if you're with your family, that should be the most important thing to you. If you're with your business, that should be the most important thing. So I just love and appreciate you guys and love these tools.
Awesome. Thanks, Jacob.
Well,
So good,
buddy. And please feel free to jump on the learning on the Symmetry Financial Group Learning Management System, Symmetry U, and you will find additional information about tempo and balance. And there's a handout that you can print out, help you kind of walk through this and really lay things out for yourself. Again, those are all located in Symmetry U. So please go find them, do the work, and thank you, Mr. Pogue. All right, Mr. Watkins.
yeah, buddy. What you got now?
We got Mr. Penso here, but if you want
Yeah,
to, I can bring it back. Where you want to
do
go?
we have the bonus stuff yet? I want to look at that
You know, I did not see that come through in the slide.
in the slide.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened.
I have them in front of me. Before we get to you, Tim, can you hear me okay, Doug?
Yep.
Man, I just thought it would be good to take a couple minutes. And this call may go a little bit long today. We are going to try to, we've had some discussions on how to make these calls a touch shorter. Ideally, I think we would like to land at like an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. Today might go a little over an hour and a half. I think it's going to be well worth it based on the faces I'm seeing on the screen right now and who all is going to be sharing with you. But I did just want to take a few minutes and again, in light of everything that's happening with our company and just, share my excitement with you guys about what's going on. We were kind of structured last week on how we were rolling everything out. And I've just been, this morning I woke up and I was thinking about, the importance of everyone kind of believing in the system that we have as much as I do, and as much as Brandon and Brian and everyone, kind of behind the scenes, and obviously everyone that's at the top. These bonuses are a great example of why I know Doug, can everyone see that?
Yep.
All right, so just real quickly, what sparked this, because I was looking at some numbers this morning and I was like, man, every time I see these results remind me of how much I believe in what we do and how proud I am of, I hate to say it, but how proud I am of what we've built here together with you guys. And I hate to say it because it'll make sense in a second. I'm not trying to pat me, Brandon and Brian on the back, but we threw the dart at where we thought the line would be to give everyone the best possible chance at actually having a really good, profitable business, whatever level they were at. And every time I look at the numbers, I believe in that even more. I really do. These bonus levels are just a small example of that. These are bonuses in addition to commission. In 2019, we paid out $8.4 million in bonuses to leadership and producers. Okay. In 2020, we're at 3.5 million so far. In May, it was 630. We're averaging somewhere around 630 to 750, somewhere in that neighborhood. May was a little bit of a down month, which is a little bit understandable with COVID. But like I said, we're already starting to see that tick back up to where we were. So just look at these numbers, guys. I mean, right now we're on a run rate to pay more than 8.4 million in 2020. I think it'll probably be more like 9 to 10 million in 2020 based on everything that's happening right now. It could be bigger than that. Is there another slide, Doug? I don't think so. I think this was it. I just wanted to kick this kind of conversation off with that because that's a big deal, guys. Paying $8 million out in bonuses in addition to the commissions being paid. That's That's a massive thing. And I want everyone on the call to get that and to understand that you can be a piece of that. In addition to some of the stuff we talked about last week with the equity appreciation rights and the grants, but just kind of going back to belief, you know, it reminds me of when we started the company. I want everyone to kind of know this story. When we started Symmetry, Brandon and I flew out to California, and we sat down with Brian, and we sat in a room. Brian, you're on. You may, I'm sure you remember this. We sat in a room in your office there at Insurance Wholesalers at the time, and you didn't really know us very well, but you knew we were ambitious and we wanted to build something. And the only reason we wanted to build something is because Brandon and I couldn't find anything else that had already, any other company that had a similar look to what we were looking for. And I will be honest with you guys, if we had seen a company that had what we were looking for, we probably wouldn't have started this company. We wouldn't have, but it didn't exist. And so we flew out to California, and we sat with Brian in a war room with whiteboards surrounding us, Brian. And before the company had a name, we had a blank canvas to draw up this company and draw up, you know, it starts with, okay, so where are we? Okay, so Brian says, we're at the IMO kind of contract level. So where, like, my brother is in the picture, right, at that point, because Linwood was agent number 1. And so it's like, okay, so where are we gonna start our agents when they're brand new and they come into the business? What level are they gonna start at? And then where are they gonna kind of finish, right? And we got to draw all that out. And my first kind of inclination, Brian, at the time, if you remember, was like, well, if we're up here, let's put Linwood way up here too, you know? And Brian said something that truly shaped, to me, the entire conversation for that 2 days in my mind. And it has continued to shape our company. And what he said was this: building a business, a true business, is like, or a true company, you have to look at it like it's a pie. And he said, if we slice that pie and give too much to the actual people in the company, if we give too much of the pie away, the company starves itself of the resources it needs to actually add value to the people. Meaning, if we had given Linwood a kind of a wholesale, like way up there with us, what would have happened is Linwood, now's largest agent in that situation in the future, would have been Kevin Purdy. Well, now, so on that same premise, Kevin should go up there. And so Linwood now has not enough spread to actually do anything and provide value with Kevin, and so on and so forth. It becomes about spread. And do I have enough spread to actually create the systems and the value that need to go in place to actually have an asset? The alternative is we take too much for ourselves at the top of the company. So we slice that pie and we get too much. Well, then everyone at the bottom, everyone in the company starves. So where we draw this line is very important. Where we slice that pie is very important, because it's going to dictate our future. And he was so accurate in that. And just speaking of what it takes from a resource standpoint to actually have a company that actually provides value to the people, let me just speak to that for a second, because I got some math for you guys, so you kind of understand what goes on behind the scenes from an investment standpoint. Last year, we spent $4.7 million on events, trips, and conferences. 4.7 million. Those events, trips, and conferences give all of you guys something to onboard new agents with, that excites them, that fires them up, puts a goal in their mind. When we get together in places like Costa Rica, there's relationship building that comes from that, which, if you're going to have a business, it's important to have those relationships that are actually locked in. You guys don't pay for that stuff. I mean, there is some conference costs that you guys pay for, but our net cost for conferences is way over and above the $100, $150, $200 you spend to get there. The meal itself is usually $100 from a hotel. So 4.7 million spent in conferences, events, and trips that allow, whether you're a producer, a builder, whatever world you live in, it allows you to actually leverage that. See, that's value that if we had given away everything to Linwood and everyone else along the way, we would have cut our throat and not put ourselves in a position to do just that one thing. Here's another one. The agent bonuses we just talked about, 8.5 million a year paid in agent bonuses that incentivize some different things other than just production, right? Jacob, I got to think that helps you grow your team, right? A little bit.
Hands down, man, that bonus, and that's what we do with it. You know, we invest it.
Absolutely. So there's that. Total payroll right now is running about $330,000 a month for our company. $330,000 a month is what our payroll is. I would say about half of that payroll is focused on the now. Half of that payroll at the moment is probably focused on the future, meaning how do we not get ran over by a constantly evolving economy and industry? I don't want that weight on Jacob's shoulders. I don't want that weight on your shoulders, John Paul, right? Like we have to be able to invest in the future and the changes and the shifts that are coming to make sure that everyone on this call has an actual asset that will be here in 5 years or 10 years or 100 years. Okay, that's very important. Sorry, I got a call coming in from someone. Total payroll 330. Leads is a big one. Leads is very big. Leads it averages between 5 and 7 million a year right now that we invest in our lead program. No, we invest in just the actual lead part of it. Okay, it's about 2 million more if you lump in the actual lead department, which is necessary if you're going to have agents so that you don't have to spend your time, Jacob, worrying about lead management. There's got to be a lead department. There's got to be a marketing department so that we stay ahead of the trends on what's coming from a marketing standpoint, like what outside of direct mail is actually working. Let's stay ahead of that, right? Because you got to be diversified when it comes to your marketing systems. If you're all relying on one type of lead, then you're vulnerable. If something happens there, you're in a tough situation. Yeah. There's a lot of things from a marketing standpoint that go into that, but that's easily another couple $1 million into the marketing aspect of things. And then you have,
just to add real quick, I think it's important to share that what you're describing with that lead cost, that's the subsidy we provide. That's what we don't scoop, right? To actually run the lead program, double that, more than double that in terms of out the door. And that's a subsidy we provide to the tune of $5 million a year.
Okay. So those are all kind of things that are important to actually have a substance to a company, you know? And again, if we had kind of given that spread away to the upper level guys, they would have also given their spread away, and now we have nothing for no one. No one has enough spread to actually create substance, to create value. Someone somewhere along the way has to create that and have the spread to do that. And I will tell you, it all comes down, if you're on the phone and you're like, well, I want to be the wealthy. I want to be in that Jacob Pogue scenario, that Marshall Whalen or Edward Pritchett scenario. I'll tell you that when it comes to getting to that level, it's about spread and volume. And it doesn't have to be a lot of spread. Brandon, Brian, and myself split 8% net. After all the expenses, after everything, it's a couple points each. And everything else goes into creating the actual value in the system and everything that's going to happen in the future. Like, that's what we're investing in. And I just think about the kind of the new producers. Specifically, why I ended on leads right there is because the biggest thing that Brandon and I saw that the industry needed in order to create volume, in order to actually grow this thing quickly, and for agency owners to actually have an opportunity to grow a business fairly quickly, is this. It's very important, and it's client acquisition cost. How much does it cost us, but more importantly, a new agent to acquire a client. Another way we say it to you guys is affordable activity. It's everything. When you get started in this business, how many of you guys are recruiting people that could come to the table and invest? Yeah, let's say a lead drop. And by the way, that's how it works behind the scenes is we don't just buy leads from someone for $60 or $70. We actually mail leads. So we mail raw data, a letter, we send out 1,000 of them, we get a 1% return. And that may be a little good on some months. A lot recently it's been okay, but it fluctuates between, and some counties are a lot lower than that, which is why sometimes we say sometimes our leads cost 120, 130 bucks a pop. John Paul, what if you were in an area where you were recruiting someone in California and you were trying to get that new agent started, and the way you got that new agent started was to say, you need to come to the table and it's going to cost you about $700, $750 to mail every 1,000 pieces of mail. And by the way, you're going to need to do that for about 3 to 4 weeks before you start seeing leads trickle in. And in that county, by the way, it's about a 0.5% return. So your lead cost is actually going to be about $140 a pop, right? Be pretty hard to start agents out like that, right? Be hard as a builder. A, it'd be hard as a producer, impossible. I couldn't have done that when I got started. B, it'd be hard for a builder to do that. So you have zero opportunity to actually scale because I can't, remember, it's spread and volume if you're wanting to build and actually have time and money. But for that new producer, how am I going to come in? It's all about how many clients can I see? And if I have a new agent and that new agent has $500, which a lot of them don't even have that, but let's say they got $500, would I rather them spend $28 a lead and sit in front of a bunch of clients or spend $500 and get 4 leads? Like, it's all about sitting in front of more clients. That's what I want new agents to be able to do. I want them to be in a position where I can get them in their first year in front of as many clients as possible. And that is what we do better than anyone else in the industry. That's why we invest so much in a lead program, guys, so that you guys can go out there and get people that are struggling, that are unemployed, that used to make good income to come in here and actually get in front of a bunch of clients. That's the beauty of it. The cost of client acquisition for your new agents is the key kind of linchpin in this whole thing. Because when you fix that, when you get that on the table, now it creates opportunity for you guys that want to build a business to actually start duplicating yourself, because it's easier to get someone in front of 15, 20 clients, right? With that kind of cost of client acquisition. So that creates an opportunity for, yeah, go ahead, Brian, go ahead, man.
Well, one of the things I would ask everybody, and I think this is really important, just so that people understand like business, the way business works. I use McDonald's as an example a lot because we're very much like in McDonald's. This system is absolutely foolproof. But what happens is, especially when people are learning, and this business takes actually really years to master. Our system certainly accelerates that. But what would happen? I would just ask everybody, what do you think would happen if Symmetry said, you know what, we're gonna eliminate this lead subsidy and we're gonna dump $8 to $10 million of additional expense on all the people on the call? What do you think would happen to people's businesses? Right?
That'd be good.
The cost of business is going up $8 to $10 million across our population of folks. Well, I can tell you what would happen. It would absolutely deep six people. There's just no way, if it costs me 3 times or 4 times as much to get a customer, how much additional commission do I have to earn to make up that difference? And it becomes your boat starts taking on water much faster. And by the way, the reason this is important, and I can tell you after 32 years of being in this industry, the reason our system works, because I've tried just about everything you can try. Okay. The reason why our system works is because it's foolproof and easy. Anybody can come in here and follow our system and succeed. And the cost of operating your business is so low here that you have to do something wrong to fail. Like you have to not follow the system. But the biggest reason why any business fails, and not just our business, is undercapitalization, lack of capital. Okay. So what we would be doing is starving, the company of resource. That's why when you started this whole conversation with coming in 10 years ago, and we built this thing so that it's balanced, right? We're called Symmetry. It's about balance, right? You have to balance your business. And I'll say it like I always say on calls where I talk about McDonald's. The reason why people invest in a McDonald's, and there's a balancing act there where their system is so successful, and if you just follow their system, and they help you with all of it, picking a location, negotiating leases, they help every step of the way, which is what our system does. It helps every single step of the way. But the biggest reason why people fail in the insurance industry is a lack of a system and a lack of resources. The cost of doing business is so expensive, and that's one of the problems our industry has. It just comes down to this. You have to exponentially earn higher and higher commissions to pay for $100 lead or $120 lead, which is what most competitors are charging people, is 80 to 120. Man, your commission has to be so high it becomes negligible, and you're overspending. So the point is that you have a system. That's why McDonald's, can you imagine every franchise owner in McDonald's having to negotiate their food prices? Right?
Exactly.
Like it wouldn't work. I don't have the volume to spend on beef and buns and things like that to get discounts. No, McDonald's does that for me. I buy all my food for, it's a package deal. And that's why McDonald's is so successful. And that's why we've been successful up to this point, is to make this a surefire, affordable way to build a business. And then you got to be around long enough to learn. This is a business you have to learn this business. You don't just plug in and it overnight. It takes time. You come here, you start making money, you start becoming, successful. You get around other successful people. All of our programs to learn from. This is critical stuff to be successful long-term in our business. And it's the reason why the failure rate in our industry is so high, is the lack of those things.
Yep. It's well said, Brian. Very well said, man. And so that's the point, guys, is the focus for us started with how do we get producers actually getting in front of as many clients as possible? Because if we can fix that part of the business, then what it does is it fixes the ability to build a business and scale quickly. See, most people look at Symmetry and they say, great place for builders. I look at Symmetry and I say, no, great place for people to produce and start and actually get in front of a bunch of clients. That in itself makes it very lucrative to actually build, because there's volume to that. Does that make sense to you guys? So it started on that whiteboard with, we need enough capital to create a very lucrative lead, a very low lead cost, marketing cost for new agents to be able to come in and get in front of twice as many people, because that's where the money comes in. You sit in front of more people, you get paid more money. Then we'll provide them a track to start going up from there in commission levels, okay? Then they start earning more. That spread now creates the ability to build, which now I want to address the agency owners for a second, especially you guys newer. You arguably have it the toughest to me, okay? It's not the producers, it's the guys in the middle. You guys have it the toughest. But I just want to remind all of you guys that are newer agency owners that nothing worth it comes easy. The guys on this call that have built things that have allowed them to do their conference calls from their lake houses and to live in Puerto Rico and do their business, and some of the other awesome things that a lot of you bigger guys that have been here for a while are doing. They went through the same thing you did. And trust me, it was not easy, but ask them if it was worth it. If you're looking for easy at that level, then you're looking for something that's short term and is not going to last. Nothing worth it. Nothing that's actually going to last is going to be easy. There's nothing out there like that. Now I want to address the
well, and Casey, and Casey, can I chime in real quick on a couple other things? One is, one thing I've learned a long time ago is that what typically happens with people that find what we do too easy, those people ultimately a lot of times fail unless they go through a period of struggle, even if it's easy for them, but they end up having to go through a period of struggle, because that's where all your growth comes from in your business and personally, right? Yep. You learn the most in struggle, not in easy. Okay. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to chime in with is, you said, this is the place to be if you're out writing business. And I can tell you that, guys, over the next 60 days, we're going to start laying out, we have some big announcements coming that are really, really, really going to help people that are out writing business to write more, faster, easier, but more importantly, to create a passive income for yourself. Okay. Yes. Just like a builder has. So if you're out writing business, we'll create an second, Brian. Yep. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get ahead.
No, that's a very big point. The other thing, to your point, Brian, around the middle, you guys that are agency owners, just kind of in that level, first level agency owners, the middle guys. Here's the reason why this is tough and why it should be tough. It's not about just having a bunch of personal producers on your team and making an override. That's not how you get to the level that Jacob Pogue has gotten to. How you get to that level, which, by the way, that level is true financial freedom, okay, is where you aren't reliant on one person or two people. You truly have very, very substantial passive income and a substantial asset that comes from a depth in leadership. And if you want a team that has 4, 5, 6 layers of leadership, and those layers of leadership are important, guys. You have to understand, if you don't have layers of leadership and all you have is width, like let's say all you had, Jacob, was like 50 producers to you that you have a 5-point spread on. You want to talk about the biggest nightmare ever? Brian can speak to that. Like, that is such a hard thing to manage. Producers, when you're the only leader and you don't have depth of leadership, it becomes extremely tough. Okay. It's not time and money. You might as well go back out in the field and stop building if that's what your plan is. It's just to have a team of top producers. Okay.
But Casey, I'll say what I just said a minute ago. This is the part that people don't understand is when things are given to you, or this business is not easy. And I'm telling everybody right now, and believe me, because I've been through this many times myself, when things are either given to you or they're too easy, you are stripped and robbed of your ability to learn and grow. You Absolutely. Learn more, you will get way more out of your struggles than you will out of your successes. And everybody Absolutely. Needs to understand that's where personal and professional growth come from. And I'm not saying that it's really hard. I mean, anybody has kids that's seen this. If you have kids, you've seen this. It's really hard to see people struggle because we care about people. But man, if you don't let them go through that, then they don't grow, and you rob them of their ability to grow. And our business, I'm telling everybody, I'm telling you, I had a conversation with Kevin Purdy. Kevin Purdy came out of the gates roaring when he came here. And then he fell on his face, right? And he wanted to quit. But I remember Kevin saying, "It's the best thing ever happened to me. Best thing ever happened to me was the time where I almost failed." Because that's when you really learn this business, and you learn a lot. You learn a lot about leadership. That's what leadership is. Leadership isn't leading from the front when everything's rosy and perfect. Leadership is going through hell and back. right? That's when you learn true leadership. And to not have that will set you up for failure, because as you start to have success and then you go through some difficulty and you're not prepared for it, then the rate of failure at that point becomes very high.
Sure. Absolutely. So I hope everyone on the phone from a new standpoint understands client acquisition costs. Everyone building needs to understand that very clearly, and how that creates the actual opportunity we all have to actually build a scalable size business with a bunch of people, right? The middle that I'm addressing right now, I'm saying that it's going to be hard and a tough. It's not going to be tough because there's something wrong with the system. It's tough because you're building multiple levels of leadership. You're building leadership in depth. And that's just a tough job. I mean, that takes a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and you're personally producing in the process. Okay. So again, all I'm saying to the middle is nothing easy is worth it. And it's going to be hard work. I will say that it's going to continue getting a little bit better for you guys with all the goodies coming. But the middle, you're in the fight. Let me address the top for the second. That's the other beautiful thing about where we drew this line, is we said, how cool would it be if anyone that made it to that top level could earn what any of the founders earn or more if they were running what the company was running in size. And I'm here to tell you, and that's why I said earlier that I'm so proud. We have built something, Jacob. I see y'all's paychecks. I see your bonus checks. Some of you guys are earning what we're earning, and you're not running what the company is running right now. You're running 25% of the company. You're running 15% of the company. But we've set the pie, we've sliced the pie in a way that everyone wanting to build and actually create a substantial asset can earn as much or more than the founders earn. And that's not just lip service. I'm saying you guys are making a lot of money, and you're doing it in the fashion in which we dreamt about, which was that balance of time and money, and I will tell you this, I've been in this business for 20 years. Brian, you've been in this business for a lot longer. I have yet to meet a producer that has retired on renewals and back-end money. I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be an awesome career producer. All I'm saying is, if what you want is at some point to have an actual taste of an asset that produces you real time and money, you're going to go through this process with us of leading. That's where it comes from.
Well,
and we have more than that. We have 200 of you guys and growing that are actually on their way to getting that true time and money wealth. And we all on this phone, if we're going to get to $1 billion valuation plus, which I think it should be plus, are all going to have to believe, like I believe, and like Brian believes, and Brandon believes, about what we actually have here. If we don't all believe it and understand it, then we're gonna have issues with that. And that's why I wanted to just be very transparent and just kind of educate everyone on what that whiteboard looked like when we were done. When we were done with it, we said, dang, we have got the best thing for the new producer, which makes it the best thing for the agency owner that wants to start building, which makes it, in the end, the best thing for the guys that stay in the hunt long enough to actually get the end result that we want them to get, which is founder type lifestyle without all the risk.
And Casey, here's what I would encourage everybody to do. And all of our top leaders can tell you this. Okay, but let's just address the folks that are learning the business and live in the struggle. Right, lean into the struggle. It will prepare you for the success that's coming your way.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Shortcuts will short circuit your journey, and you will never get there if you try to shortcut the system. Our industry doesn't work that way. I've seen it so many times.
Brian, life and business doesn't work that way. Forget our industry. It just doesn't work that way.
No, you're right. You're right. Anytime, like imagine getting into college and never having taken algebra in high school. Like, how are you supposed to get through calculus and trigonometry in college if you didn't take algebra? That's the important part. Like, every single grade in school gets you prepared for the next challenge, right? Every single challenge that's coming your way, you're preparing for that in the current time, okay? And I'm telling you, our industry, you will be richly rewarded for the struggle, because the struggle prepares you for the success. If you're not prepared for the success, if success comes at all, you're going to hit some adversity, and you're going to fail because you're not going to have the least idea how to deal with it.
Yeah, that's right. Guys, I didn't want to take up, too much time on this, but, I did want everyone to just kind of make sure that as we're on this journey together with all kinds of big, exciting things coming, that everyone understands how the company was started and how the company got its name. The company got its name before or after the whiteboard. Like, it wasn't until we actually said, man, I think we've sliced this pie up the right way here, in a way that actually shares the wealth of opportunity equally to all parties. And that's when we said Symmetry. That's when we said, that's what our name should be. All right. And everyone needs to understand that story on this journey. And if we all get it and we all believe it and we all understand it, we're going to do some even bigger things together. That being said, the QMS program, something that we didn't really have time to hit on last week is, again, this speaks to, when the company actually has the spread to create value and actually some substance and something to it, allows us to work on things like the QMS program. I mean, the Assura acquisition in itself was millions of dollars that the company did to acquire that. But what that provides is it provides you guys with the ability on the producer level even to go out and earn a lot more income in a passive way, which no one else in the industry is in that world. You guys now that are building are able to recruit to an opportunity for producers that are able to go out and create passive income for themselves in the field. I didn't have that when I was in the field. And beyond that, some of you guys, some of the questions have been coming in about QMS, one of a handful of which, great for the people that have been here for a year or more. And we're going to go back and, we're going to put the QMS certified agents on working that client book of business and, doing policy reviews and actually helping them with more advanced stuff. What about me as a brand new agent? What about that passive income? Here's the cool part. And again, I'm sharing some stuff with you guys that's coming in the future, but that the 12 to 18 month, the older existing client base is just a small part of the QMS program. The main part of the QMS program that takes a little bit longer, but Assura has this dialed as well, is what you guys are going to do is you're going to use the financial information form, or what we're going to call the financial fire drill. And it's going to be part of our new actual script in the home. And because we're going to use the platform, the Quality platform, to do the whole process, start to finish, end-to-end digitalization of the process where I sell clients, right? In that, we're going to be a little bit more of a consultative approach in the beginning so that we actually get some logic. See, people buy on a couple things. They buy on logic and they buy on emotion. We got the emotion part nailed. We're good, John, at driving that emotion in the home. If we can get a little bit of financial information from them, we'll get some logic in there to help drive the close ratios for you guys. More importantly, that financial information form will be the information that QMS needs to actually come back in, John, and say, man, this guy's got $70,000 in a 401k. This guy's got an opportunity because he's got some debt for a DFL sell. We can go in right away. You set it up, John. You use the financial information form in the front part of the appointment, and the QMS team goes in and immediately starts creating passive income for your clients. If you want to be the guy that goes in there and does it, then get QMS certified. So I always will say that anyone that wants to drive additional sales in the home, we're not saying that's off limits to you. We're just saying, if you're like me and like a lot of other people, like, I just want to continue with what I'm good at, opening those doors. and I'll take that 40% app split all day long. But guys, QMS is for immediate passive income as well, and that's coming. Give us time on that. We're putting the pieces into place, but that is a massive part of it.
Yeah, it's going to take time to scale it, Casey, the QMS program. But just a little bit of a kind of a Scooby snack on that, a little bit of a appetizer. This week, 154 appointments are being run on QMS. Okay. Which will equate to somewhere in the neighborhood of $200,000 to $300,000 of premium, 40% of which will flow back to the Symmetry agents that are involved, which is going to be somewhere in the $100,000+ in actual dollars, commission dollars in people's pockets. And that's the first week. That's the first week that we really are going more broad with it, aside from the test that we did, the pilot that we did. So think about that. In a week, in the very first week, we're going to produce somewhere around $100,000 in passive income for all you guys, and we're just getting started.
All right, so guys,
just getting started.
So this is what. Go ahead, Jacob. Do you have something you want to say?
This is Doug. I was going to say, just to give you an idea, that represents less than 0.5% of the available information that we can send to the QMS program. 0.5%.
So guys, it is all about the personal producer. You guys get that? We're structured and we're as valuable as we are from a builder standpoint because what we're doing on the producer level. It will be the absolute best place to get your start and to finish in the producer world. And what it's going to allow you guys as leaders to do is to go wild. You think we've done something in 10 years, wait for the next 10. And so I just we didn't really have time to dig into a lot of this last week. You guys have our promise that we're going to continue digging in with you on this kind of stuff and kind of making sure everyone understands our value proposition, because it's ridiculous. It's really good. And y'all are going to start really seeing some amazing things from it. You've already seen some amazing things, but more to come. So, man, Jacob, I am so sorry for taking up too much time. And I did want to get to Tim Pinso because Tim is also killing it. Tim, you there, buddy?
Hey, Casey, real quick.
Yep.
I'm gonna jump back 2 seconds just to share. We missed one key leader promotion, so congratulations to David Zilkowski under the Colburn Agency.
All right.
So make sure we hit that, and then now, please.
Good job, David.
Mr. Pinso here. Absolutely.
Tim, I got a really nice paragraph about you. That is pretty awesome that I just want to read real quick. Spivey, who wrote this? This is awesome.
It was old buddy Ayers.
By Ayers Newsom.
I have not had a single agent that has been as hungry for coaching as Tim Pinso. His success has come from his mindset, and that mindset is, please tell me, what is your mindset? How would you handle this agent or deal with that problem? Every day, no matter how big or small his question or dilemma, he never tried to use just his own thought process. He was constantly seeking the insight, thought process, and advice of others, not just Minor Sisley's, but also Brian Delaney's, Edward Pritchett's, and various others in SFG. He was humble and took the approach of, I know that I don't know. And when he was given direction, he took it and executed it without hesitation every time. And it is those two things that make Tim Pinso so special. His willingness to operate with the mindset of someone else, and that he executes without hesitation. Because of that, he went from starting with us in November 2016 and doing 20,000 in volume that month with just himself and one other rider to becoming agency owner 6 months later with 14 riders and over 100,000 in APV. He's now regional agency director on 105% contract, pushing for the 110. He's already bumping against 350,000 per month and making massive impact in our agency and in the lives of his organization and huge waves within Symmetry. Most of you have heard him, and I'm super excited for everyone to hear from him. Tim? Awesome stuff, man.
Yeah.
Give everybody a little taste of what's happening in your world and how you're getting that. And share some of those results, man. Let's hear it. Sometimes I think we shy away from talking about results a little bit. Let's do more of that.
Oh, definitely. First of all, I'm super honored and humbled to be on the call. I'm still thinking about heirs. My name is Tim Penso. I'm direct to heirs in Cicely Newsom, part of the Delaney Pritchett hierarchy. Just, yeah, everybody's just so awesome. From Jacob Pogue, who I just spoke to, like one of our first conversations last week. Just honored to be on the call with you, and from heirs and Cicely and Brian and Casey. Just everybody's amazing. And this last Sunday was Father's Day, and when I woke up, heirs was one of the. I think he was the first person I thought of when I woke up, and that's just how much, he means to me, and I mean that. So I'm super thankful for those kind words. I know it was Cicely's birthday, so I don't know if he's on the call, but yeah, as far as the results, Casey, what would you like for me to speak on exactly?
Man, I just want to hear, some of the results you're getting and why you think you're getting them.
Yeah, so definitely, it all comes back to upline and downline. You guys put the system in place, and I had a conversation with a really hungry agent who's just doing phenomenal. I mean, everybody's just an inspiration, upline and downline, but it comes back to the system that you guys put in place. I've had an agent that I had the privilege of him coming up to the office to spend some time. His name's Jesse. He actually wrote 40,000 all virtual as soon as the coronavirus happened. And that was a huge inspiration. Same thing with Danielle Goulet. Those two were really the first two to pioneer the virtual appointments in the agency. I think she placed 25,000 that month. But it was funny to see her reaction when we found out about the virtual appointments. There was two reactions, right? There was a reaction of, oh no, business is over. And then there was Danielle. And I won't lie, I was a little nervous. I was scared. I was scared. I was like, oh no, like all this sacrifice for nothing. It went through my mind. And then Danielle, she was just like, oh babe, this is going to be awesome. Like, this is amazing. This is great. And she really just kept me optimistic, which was incredible. And then Jesse was just like, oh, I'm about to slay this. And he just went out there and he wrote 40K. He placed all of it, I think. Placed 30 that month, and the 11K rolled over the next month. And it was just incredible. But it just comes back to the system that you guys really put in place, which is just incredible. You're able to train multiple people, not me, but the system, right? And I had somebody come up here, and I noticed this person was just on the phone training, spending hours on the phone with his pipeline. And I'm like, brother, like, what are you doing? And I took some people from the base shop that were in here, and people don't know what they don't know. And I brought them in, and there was about $60,000 in production right there in front of us. And I said, so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so, how much time have I spent training you? And Danielle goes, 10 minutes. Zach goes, maybe like an hour. And then the new guy who just wrote apps his first week, my buddy Sam, he goes, you actually haven't trained me at all. And I was wondering why, but now I get it. And it's the system that you guys put in place. And so many people want to train and be the magic and be the professor instead of letting the system. So it really just goes back to the system you guys put in place with the audios and the onboarding and everything that you have going on. That's really what the results are. I'm just following, like Air said, I call him, I bug him, I bother him, and I just don't stop. So that's it.
Yeah, that's awesome, Dave. And that's smart. It's very smart. Some people don't get that. Some people want to do it themselves. I was never like that. I'm with you, man. I didn't spend a ton of time training individual people. If I ever spent time training, it was in a room full of 10, 15 or more. Like, I'm going to collapse my time frames down. I'm not going to individualize this thing. As much as I would love to spend one-on-one time with you, Tim Penso, and teach you how to train or teach you how to sell an insurance policy, I'd much rather spend that same 15, 20 minutes or an hour with you on getting you what result you actually want in 5 years. And that is going to be more me teaching you leadership and teaching you how to lead a team and leverage a system and actually be a business owner. It's not going to be how to teach you to sell a policy. I can get you an MP3 or on a conference call or in a group setting and do that.
Right. Yeah. And I want them to be better. And I want them to be better than me. Right. If I only ever wrote 20,000 in a month and I'm training them, or sometimes I'll see somebody that I know has like a 50% net place training somebody. And I'm like,
what are you doing?
Yeah. Like, I don't mean to be mean, but it's like, why are you even talking on a conference call?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, it's
I
like,
get it.
yeah, and
Yep.
it's like, I love everybody, and I care, and that's why I just like, I get fired up, and it's just like, you know, it's just, sometimes people just don't know what they don't know. And it was great because I had the conversation with the person who was doing that, and he was like, oh wow, I had no idea, you know, and it was a great epiphany for all of us. It was just a bad expectation on my end. So
yep. Well, good stuff, man. I don't want this call to go 3 hours, even though it would be well worth it with other people that are on right now. You guys know Jacob Pogue. You know how just how badass he is and what kind of machine Jacob and the whole team that's on the call right now with Lee Jedlika, John Paul, Latanya. Like, you guys are killing it, and you're getting a result that there's people, Jacob, that own IMOs that aren't making what you're making and getting, and in the type way you're making it. Most importantly, it's not about the money I make; it's about how I make it. And so I'm just so proud of everything y'all are doing. I want you to pour into everyone. And if you're on the call listening right now and you're looking at your watch, wondering when we're going to be done, I want you to stop thinking like that. You went to school for 7 years to get a good degree that you might not be using right now. So what's a couple hours altogether to learn from people who are actually earning what you want to earn in a way you want to earn it. So Jacob, go for it, buddy.
Man, I appreciate that. And dude, so grateful for you. I as we gear up, you know, we all had our heads down through the changes and with COVID and everything. And just so grateful, man. We're getting ready to take a vacation for I don't know, like 12 or 13 days. And the one thing I don't have to worry about in planning for that is how I'm going to afford it. What I'm going to tell the owner of the restaurant I used to work with, like asking to go, worrying about finances, worrying about what my business is going to be doing when I get back. You know, we're going to be down there making the same amount of money that we are now, no matter where we are. You know, I'll jump on a couple conference calls from there because I want to, not because I have to. Like, I just am so grateful for this system that you put together. You know, it's freedom. It's freedom. And then you just got to ask yourself on the line, guys and girls, what is it worth to you to put in? How many years are you willing to work for it? How much effort are you willing to put in for it to get true freedom financially, time, relationships? Like, it's just awesome. So love you guys to death. You know that.
Can I just say one thing about that, Jacob?
Yeah, buddy.
You're in rare air, man. And I want to acknowledge that for a second, because sometimes people say, well, it's just the people, you know, it's just 10, 15, 20 guys at the top making all the money. I would argue with that, because I see a bunch of you guys in the middle, paychecks and bonuses, and there's a ton of money being made. But I will also say, where else are you going where everyone is just earning 7 figures? Everyone, you know, like, what world are we living in where everyone is equal and everyone is earning the same amount, you know, regardless of their top, their middle? So I would just say that you're rare air for a reason. It's not built like that. It's just the nature of business, and it's the nature of success. You have to go through that fight. And Jacob, you've went through it. And more importantly, though, you have a system and you have a way of kind of getting other people at that level, and you're doing that. So good work, buddy. Keep it up, man.
Thank you, buddy. And I agree. And yeah, I would argue, I mean, I've got multiple people on my team making multiple 6-figure passive income, you know, so there's tons of people making tons of money. And the only difference between me and you, that brand new agent is just logged onto the conference call for the first time, is time and intentionality. That's it. I've been through a lot of failure and I've been here longer. Everyone can do it. Everyone. So we've got some rock stars on the line. The mindset, metrics, and movement of an elite producer. All 3 of these folks are elite. 2 of them hit elite producer during this COVID outbreak. John Paul was just recognized on today's call. So what I'm going to do is just kind of a quick group introduction, just for the sake of time, because what they have to say is truly amazing. So Lee and John Paul joined our team back in August of 2018. Like, think about that. Lee and John Paul joined our team in August of 2018. What a game-changing month for our agency that was. And then we took another huge step up a couple months later, January 2019, when we added Miss Latanya James. So In 2019, these three individuals combined to help 908 families for $1.25 million in premium. That's their personal production. 3 people, 908 families, 1.25 million in personal production. LaTanya was the number 2 female producer in my hierarchy with 262,000 in personal production last year. John Paul Vetter, number 3 in my entire agency, with 340,000 in personal production. Lee Jedlika, the number 1 agency in my hierarchy and Symmetry Financial Group as a whole, with 621,000 of capped APV. John Paul broke out an agency owner last August. Lee Jedlika was a couple months behind him in December, I believe it was, him and Lee and Martina. And then LaTanya's building a business now. She just hit key leader on this call, which we're super fired up for. So they continue to not just set the bar, they raise the bar continually. Like I said, they're all elite producers, but just like everyone on the call, you know, they face challenges in their business. We all do. And I don't think that it's our challenges that define us. It's how we respond to them. And what I've seen from these people is time and time again that they don't just rise to the challenge, they grow through it. And, you know, they understand that leaders go first. And when this COVID hit, they didn't make excuses. They didn't talk, you know, come to me saying how difficult it was or how new it was. They just found a way. So listen to this, Casey. In March, April, and May, right? And we all just went through the same months. They all stepped up, crushed it. John Paul went out and wrote $128,000 over the last 3 months. LaTanya James, $137,000 in the last 3 months. And Lee Jedlika just continues to be on a tear. He wrote $175,000 since March. So they're leaders, they're rock stars, and most importantly, they are my friends. So we're going to let you hear from them. Grab your pen and a paper. Like if these stats don't tell you you need one, I don't know what to tell you. Grab your pen and a paper. They are full of knowledge. We're just going to pass it to them. They're going to talk a little bit about the mindset, metrics, and movement of an elite producer. So let's start with you, Miss LaTanya James.
Hi.
Hi there, girl.
How are you?
I'm doing so good. It's good to see your smiling face.
Good to see you as well, always.
So, you know, we had a call on Friday. All of us were talking, and you know, sometimes I have multiple calls. You know, just want to make sure everyone's prepared, everyone's on the same spot. I think we were on the phone for 20 minutes, and I'm like, okay, guys, I'll talk to you Wednesday on the call. So
it was pretty short.
it certainly was, but y'all just are amazing. So, can you just kind of talk to us about, you know, your journey? How do you get the results you are? What's your mindset? What are your metrics? And, you know, you're moving at a certainly fast pace. So just talk to us a little bit.
Well, thank you for having me. As always, it's always a joy and a privilege to be on the call with so many greats, known and unknown. And as we were talking on our call on Friday, first of all, great, huge shout outs to my mentors and upline, Lee and Martina Jedlika. I am always trying to stay on my leader's heels, trying to follow exactly what he does. He's absolutely phenomenal. And to Jacob and the Pogue hierarchy, wonderful family to be a part of with Symmetry. Absolutely love it. I always say I wouldn't change it for the world. I would take the ups and the downs any day to be where I am right now. What I'm doing right now and hitting key leader and being able to continue on to strive to hit agency leader, because I'm gonna hit it. It is a wonderful feeling. Lee, we were just talking about, this was something that we were saying one day it was gonna happen when I first started with Symmetry back in 2018. And, you know, you have a lot of people that tell you a lot of things, but it's one thing for people to see something in you that maybe you don't even see in yourself, and then allow you to grow to be able to see exactly what they saw in you from the beginning, and never leave you, and never lose sight of the goals that you have set in mind, of your goals, not just to work on their own goals, but to help you work on your goals. And that's what I found. And that's what I love about Symmetry and about Lee and Martina. We're in it together. Literally, when we say we are all in it together, We are. And that has played a big part in the mindset that I've had in my journey of success here with Symmetry. I just think that in order for you to be great, in order for you to get better, in order for you to continue to strive, your mindset has to change, because your brain, your body will follow exactly where your brain leads you. You know, there is a difference. You know, we do so many mundane things. You know, we make phone calls, we talk to people, we help families, we recruit. There are so many areas and so many different levels that we can get on with Symmetry. But the thing that keeps coming to mind, and I was thinking about this entire time, Tanya, what do you say to people that are just starting out? What do you say to people that have been here for a while and maybe have been in a slump? What do you say to people that are making it happen and they want to keep making it happen and keep growing? And the thing that came to mind to me was moving with a purpose. You know, it's one thing to make phone calls. You can make phone calls every day and dial, but if you're not dialing with a purpose, you're wasting your time. You know, you can recruit all day, but if you are not recruiting with a purpose, you're wasting your time. There's no way that you can not have a goal, not have a purpose, not know what your reason for being here with Symmetry, not know where you're striving and where you're wanting to go, and then expect people to follow you, expect you to be able to lead people, expect you to be able to convince people that this is why they should be doing what you have and what you're presenting to them. And it all starts with you, the person. It starts with us, your mindset, how you feel. Where do you see yourself going in the future? You must have a plan. And if you don't have a plan, you need to sit down and analyze where you are going, where you want to go, where you want to be. Because it's one thing about it. Life is going to throw you all sorts of curveballs. And it's not to say that you know what those curveballs are going to be, because you don't. But you can definitely be shielded and armored with the equipment to make sure that if whatever the curveball may be, whatever the task is, whatever the obstacle is, whether it's dialing, whether it's family, whether it's scheduling, you know, whether it's you want to be somewhere or at a level faster than where you are right now, or if you're in a slump, you got to be shielded with the armor mentally. You got to be shielded with it physically. And that shield is that purpose. It's that goal of knowing what you need to do and how you need to get there. Because it's not about where you start, it's where you finish. And where you finish has to be where you're wanting to go. You know, so that's the mentality that I have with anything that I do in regards to life, in regards to Symmetry. It hasn't been all easy, but it's been a great journey. And I know that every time I hit one of my marks on my goal setter, I'm setting another mark. You know, I'm going for the next goal. If I hit 10,000 this month, guess what? Now I know I can hit 10,000. Now I'm going to set my mark not for 15. I'm going to set it for 20, because I know that if I'm pushing for 20, I'm going to always hit 10. So, and that's how you have to think about things. That's the mindset that a winner has. A winner fails, but they fail forward. They never give up. They continue striving even when they fail. While they're falling, they're making a plan to get back up. And that is, you know, how you have to think about it. That's how I think about it. And I love that Symmetry gives you that flexibility to change, to make changes in your plan, because it's going to change from day to day. It's going to change. And you just have to be willing to follow what is set on the forefront and the foundation, turn around and make it your own, and then continue to lead by example.
Girl, you are awesome.
Did that answer your question, or did I go all the way around the book?
No, you are awesome. I couldn't take notes fast enough. My handwriting's not good anyway, but your body will follow where your brain leads you. Move with a purpose. You got to have a plan, guys and girls. You got to have a plan. It's not about where you start, it's where you finish. And a winner is willing to fail forward. LaTanya, you've done all of those things, girl. You continue to crush it. You continue to just lead by example and overcome the obstacles that everyone faces. Not just you, not just, it's not, you know, we like you said, we all start at the start. Every single person on this line can one day find themselves at this elite producer status if you first get your mind right, you make a plan, you have a purpose, and you just go get it. So appreciate you. I know you put in a ton of work and a ton of dials, and you make sure, like we were talking about, that tempo, balance, and focus with Thrive. You take Uber time with your family too. And that's a misconception that a lot of people have about the three people in the line. They think all y'all do is work. I'd venture to say y'all have a lot more free time than most of us. So
we do. And you know what? And it is hard work. It's hard work, but you gotta know what you're working for. Again, it falls back to that purpose. You gotta know the reasons why you're doing what you do. And when you know that, you will do it with a purpose that, guess what? I'm doing what I do because I know I want to have free time with my family. I know I want to be financially blessed. I know I want to be financially stable. And then you will do things that make sense, where you can work smarter and not always harder.
absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Ms.
You're
Latanya
welcome.
James.
Thank you for having me.
Like I said, we took a huge step forward January 2019 when you joined this crazy bunch. So thank you so much. You know, we love
Thank you.
All right. So let's pop over to the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Lee Jedlicka. How you doing, buddy?
Great. How are you?
So good, man. Good to see you. You're looking awfully dapper today. Awfully dapper.
Just got out of field, so I figured I'll stay this way.
I love it, man. I love it. No, man, I always appreciate your professionalism and how seriously you take speaking to the entire company. I know it is one of your life's purposes is to add value to other people, to make an impact. I can't how many conversations we've talked about you wanting to do that, and I can tell you whether you've had a conversation or not with someone, dude, you are making an impact in so many people's lives, because what you're doing, you're eliminating excuses. Right? You come in here, English is your fifth language, I believe. You're looking up definitions as you're studying through the onboarding, and man, just super proud of you. Super grateful to have you on the team, and talk to us about your mindset, metrics, and movement of elite producer, buddy.
Absolutely. Well, first, I'd like to say that I'm super grateful for you. I cannot thank you enough. I'm always saying I'm gonna thank you through my actions, right? I'm gonna let my actions lead the path. But my name is Lee Jed. I'm Director Jacob Pogue, and very, very grateful to be here. I'd like to continue where Latanya ended. As a matter of fact, I figured as a producer that it's nice to produce, but there is nothing more fulfilling than having somebody on your team who is making it to the top. It's extremely fulfilling and it's beautiful. And it comes down to that mindset. I remember when Latanya started, there was nothing like what if. There is no way to lose. I remember I met her for the first time and we said, "You're going to the top, girl." We didn't set up a timeline on it, but there was no other option. They say, "What would you do if you know you cannot fail?" Right? And we set up that mindset from day one. From day one, I know, Latanya, if you want to, you go into the top. It's all up to you. If you set that mindset, let's see yourself on the top. And we were actually talking about being on the top. We were acting. We felt like we were on the top already. I know I'm on the top already. I knew I'm number one producer if I want to from day one, without any experience, without any knowledge in this industry, right? And I think that's very, very important. They say, go as far as you can see, and when you get there, you'll see how to go further. Go as far as you can see, and when you get there, you'll see how to go further. Which brings me to the point of new people not knowing how to do this, not knowing much about insurance or any kind of product. Like, I was super overwhelmed from day one. I knew nothing. I didn't even grow up in this country. I didn't know what is 401k exactly. In Germany we have different system, but I just put my heels on the ground and I made the decision. And they say nothing can stop a man with a burning desire. And that burning desire gives a birth to suffering. Don't get me wrong, it still is suffering, and I hope it always will be, because just like Mr. Post said, if you don't suffer, if you don't struggle, you're not growing. So then what's the purpose of this, right? We gotta suffer, but we gotta embrace it. And not to brag, my first month in the field, I made up, I think, 37,000, and I made more than 40,000 ever since. Well, if somebody would have told me this, I don't think I would have believed him, but I knew I'm capable of it. And I just made the decision. And speaking of the balance, yeah, at the beginning, there wasn't much of it first couple of months because I was learning, I was creating new habits, new neural pathways, but it got easier, easier, easier. I made $700 my first week or first weekend. Now it takes me 2 to 3 hours to do the same, to book the same amount of appointments. So again, just embrace the struggle at the beginning, make the decision, know that you'll suffer, because if we would not suffer or struggle, we all would make $6 an hour, right? But everybody can do it. Just like Casey said, the beauty of this system, beauty of Symmetry is I was able to immediately, I think 4 days after I got my license, get in front of many, many, many people. My first day in the field, without even knowing what I'm doing, I made $5,000. I didn't even know how, but I got the opportunity to get in front of those people and get better, better, better by each appointment. And it gets easier, easier, easier. And we get to the point when I can run this business 2 or 3 days a week. And I can run other businesses. I can do whatever I want. Everybody can do whatever you want. They all can do whatever they want. We all can dress whatever we want to dress. We can eat lunch at whatever time we want to eat lunch. We can get home at whatever time we want to get home. Isn't this beautiful? This is a freedom, right? So you're talking about financial freedom, but don't forget about the time freedom that we have here, right? And that's why I'm so grateful for this system, because I don't know many other businesses that allow you to skyrocket that fast and dream as big as you just want to dream, right? So don't try to be realistic and rational at the beginning because of not knowing. The unknown will always be there, but they're saying that rational and realistic people in a long run, in a long term, are not as rational and realistic at being successful as those dreamers and visionaries. So to summarize it, set the bar high without knowing, set yourself up for success, see yourself as #1 producer, see yourself as an agency owner, see yourself as 110, detach yourself from the outcome and just go step by step every day, and you'll get there, because you cannot fail if you follow the system.
Man, I love the message, and I hope everyone's hearing this, right? So now 2 elite producers have had similar messages in different ways, right? LaTanya says you've got to know, you got to go with the purpose, right? Have a plan. And Lisa, set the bar high, see yourself where you're going, right? Right? Go as far as you can go, and then you'll know how to get, when you get there, you'll know how to go farther. Man, I love it. I love it. You said 2 things. A man with a burning desire, right? Nothing can stop a man with a burning desire. I talk about that pit.
This call is being recorded.
There's someone on this line today. When I went to my first conference, I had a pit in my stomach. I wasn't where I wanted to be in life. I was $80,000 in debt. Like, I was 33 years old. I saw my wife 1.5 days a week. This is not where I wanted to be, but I had something that nobody could see. And it was a pit in my stomach. It's the same thing that you have inside of you, Lee, that burning desire. It's the same thing that LaTanya has and John Paul has. And I know I'm talking to someone today who has that pit, right? You can't see mine and I can't see yours, but you know it's there. And it's that feeling that, you know what, I'm designed for more. That feeling that this is not the life I planned. This is not the life I wanted. And I'm telling you guys and girls, you're in a place where that thing can grow into a burning fire, into a wildfire, if you come in here with some humility, with some grit, and with some tenacity, and just see what you can develop that thing into. Lee, it's awesome, man. And then you talk about balance, right? Yeah, I tell people a lot, look, what your first 90 days here, like, don't picture that as what the rest of your life at Symmetry is going to be. Nobody wants to work 60 hours a week for their entire life, or 70 or 80 or whatever. Like, you're going to have to put more time in. And I'm not saying you got to put 60 hours in, but you're going to have to put more time in the beginning to learn, right? You spent a lot of time on the phone in the beginning. I called you 2 weeks ago and it was like, I was talking about dialing and what you're like, yeah, my appointment was booked like 10, 11 in the morning, Friday morning. I'm like, counting the hours. I'm like, what, did you start dialing at like 5 in the morning? You're like, nah, it's a couple hours. had all your appointments booked for the week because you've got better, because you put in that time. So, man, I just, I love you and Martina to death. I appreciate all the value you add, not only to this company, but my life and this team. So thank you, Lee.
Thank you. We love you too.
Awesome, man. Last up, we have Mr. John Paul Vetter, man. I've said anytime I get a chance to introduce this guy, it's just a man with a plan, a man on a mission. It's been such a honor to get to know you, get to watch you. Like, that's the cool thing. Like, sometimes in this business, you just hire great people and get out of the way. We have a system to train them. Like Lee, Latanya, John Paul, you didn't take a much training, it just took showing you where you can find the information and watching you run with it, dude. And broke out as an agency owner 1 year later after being here, checked off the elite producer box, and just awesome to hear from you too on the mindset, metrics, and movement of elite producer, buddy.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and certainly honored and blessed to be on the call. Thank you to Brandon, Casey, of course, for the phenomenal opportunity that we have here at Symmetry. My name is John Paul Vetter. I'm director Chris Menifee and the Mank Balmer Pogue Whalen hierarchy. And so what I really want to talk about, is you heard, kind of a recurring theme amongst the other folks on the call, both Lee and Latanya, and to me, obviously, schedule, having the right number of leads, focus, discipline, sacrifice, your skill set on the phones and in the home or Zoom, all those things are mission critical, and certainly extremely important ingredients to your success. But I think the underlying factor that determines all of it is your mindset. And it is absolutely your focus in that mindset that you have, as well as your goals and writing those down and making sure you put that into the world and speak it into existence and stay focused on what you want to accomplish, and making sure that nothing keeps you from accomplishing your goals, including yourself. So you have to believe it before you can achieve it. That's the first thing I want to talk about. And then the other thing I want to talk about is mentality and perspective, right? And most people in general will never become who they say they want to be or what they dream to aspire to become, because they're too attached to who they've been. Think about that. Most people will never become who they say they want to be because they're too attached to who they've been in that comfort zone. And there is pain in leaving your comfort zone, and challenges and adversity and all those other things, and here at Symmetry, everybody wants to be in the result, right? You see the folks at the top and equity partners and the founders, and everybody wants to be in the result, right? But no one wants to be in the process. But I'm telling you right now, more than anything you've ever done in your life, it is in the process that determines who deserves the result. So you have to be focused on what you want to accomplish and go through the same challenges and adversities that everybody else on the call has gone through. Nobody here was an overnight success. You just don't see all the pain and suffering and challenges and difficulties along the way, right? So you have to demand your success to yourself, of yourself. But you also have to do something today that your future self will thank you for. Think about that for a minute. You have to be committed to what it is you want to accomplish and know the end game and where you want to be at in the future, and give up of yourself the sacrifice that needs to be done now to build all your tomorrows and your forever. Fear kills more dreams than failure ever will. You got to jump. You got to be all in. You've got to be committed to you. Because it's in that fear that causes people apprehension to never take risks in what they do. So their dreams are killed before they ever have an opportunity to flourish. And sure, are there challenges? Do you have setbacks? And do folks have failures? Absolutely, as mentioned before, but you want to fail forward. The whole key is if you fall forward, you're going to learn from those lessons to make you better for the next point or next part of your journey, right? So the whole point is you have to jump and be all in and committed to this in yourself more than anything you've ever done in your life, okay? The other part of that is stop being afraid of what can go wrong. and start getting excited about what can go right. The other part I want folks to understand is there are folks on this call who have taken advantage of and are taking advantage of this opportunity, okay, and what this provides from Symmetry. And they're doing very well. And there's other folks on this call who won't be here in a few months. And their story is going to be, oh, the system sucked, the leads were bad, I couldn't do this. It was because of other folks, and pointing the finger at everyone else for their lack of success. But I'm going to say something that I've said for the better part of 30 years. And I want you to pay particular attention to what I'm about to tell you. Don't tell me what can't be done while I'm doing it. You have to believe that yourself. The world changes when you see things from that perspective. Okay? So the other part of that goes hand in hand with that is don't be upset with the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do. That's what you have to understand. You are completely in control of your destiny in this scenario. If you want to be a multimillionaire with this opportunity in the next 4, 5, 7 years, take hold of it like there's nothing else in the world that matters. Or you can let it fall by the wayside and the opportunity pass you by, and you can live with regret. And I'm going to tell you one thing that hurts more than any kind of failure is that being at the end of your life and looking back and having to deal with regret for opportunities you never took advantage of. Does that make sense? So the other thing that I wanted to talk about, was, and really this is what I want to, because I know we're pressed for time, and I want to make sure that folks on this call, really, really understand, what I'm about to tell you. Very, very few times in any of our lives do we have an opportunity to really take control and mold and shape our future and destiny. And that's what we literally have here at Symmetry. If you don't believe that, get off the call now. I don't know how else to put it to you. But I'm going to tell you one thing. When writing the story of your life, don't let anyone else hold the pen. You have an unbelievable opportunity here at Symmetry that all of us have. Some of us are taking advantage of that and are on this journey. And other folks won't continue on it because they're not committed to themselves and their own forever. It will be no one else's fault, no other excuses. And that's the other point. And the last one I do want to make, Jacob, is your fight and your why has to be stronger than your excuses and your quit. That's all I have to say about it, Jacob. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to speak on the call. Love you, brother. I just blessed for the opportunity and continue to strive for what this opportunity is going to provide for me and my family, brother.
Man, we love you too. You and Sandra, you're just awesome people. I once again have a whole page of notes here. I know I missed some. I just couldn't write fast enough, buddy. But the payoff is in the process. That's huge. That is so huge. Most people want the payoff without the process, right? Most people want the paycheck without the pain. It's so good. Fear kills more dreams, right? Don't let your fear disrupt your future, right? Don't let fear dictate your future. I almost did in this business when I was this close to quitting. I wouldn't put in the work my first month. Nothing, don't let anything keep you from your goals, including yourself. I think that's huge, right? So many people self-sabotage themselves in this business, right? You come in here and you just, you don't do work that is profitable. You push paper around your office all day long, convince yourself that you're working, and then say, I'm not making any money at this job. Do the hard things first. Pick up the phone, put in the dials, do the money-making activity. Man, don't be afraid of what can go wrong. Start getting excited about what can go right. That kept me in this business, guys and girls. It's a big reason I'm at the top of this company. You've got to figure out a way to get positive. Bad things happen to good people. We have tough days. This business can be hard. I'm not going to dwell on what happened yesterday. I'm not going to dwell on the fact that I got poached or I had a chargeback or my top recruit quit. What I'm going to dream about is what's tomorrow going to feel like when I do have that big team, when things do start going my way, when I do get this thing figured out. You guys have done a great job of that, man. I appreciate you. Casey, back to you.
And I love the don't tell me I can't do something when I'm already doing it too.
Mm-hmm.
That's so good. Don't tell me that. I'm already doing it.
Right.
I love that, man. I love everything everyone on this call talked about today. Just so grateful for the team that we have, because and what's coming for so many guys on this call that are just listening in. That brand new agent that this may have been their first call. I'm telling you guys, with what is happening behind the scenes and where we're going over the next 3 to 5 years, there are going to be a lot of people getting a taste and a lot of what you guys are already talking about on the call. There really will be. So we got a lot of goodies coming. Another big one coming, the Evolution of Your Business Part 2, coming on the 8th. And in many ways will be as substantial, if not more substantial, for the masses, for everyone on the call. So big things happening, guys. Let's jump on again next week. Thank you.
Casey, appreciate
See
you,
you
man.
guys.
Appreciate y'all.